Steelers trade reports escalating. This is insane. As the Pittsburgh Steelers just added Aaron Rodgers to their team, they look to add another offensive playmaker. My name is Peyton Kleppy, and on today's episode of Steelers Digest, we'll be breaking down the latest Pittsburgh Steelers reports and analysis regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. If you guys are not already currently subscribed to the channel, just click that subscribe button down below. Only 13.1% of our current viewers are actually currently subscribed. So if you could click that subscribe button, we are trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. So the next wide receiver that has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers is Christian Watson. Obviously, this is a guy that has played for the Green Bay Packers his whole career so far. Was drafted by Green Bay and did play a year or two with Aaron Rodgers, I do believe, in the 2020 and 2021 season. I believe 2020 was his rookie year, and 2021 was his second year. Obviously, Rodgers was still on the team back then, so he definitely does have some chemistry with Watson. And as we do know, Rodgers does like to have his receivers in the building, likes to have at least one or two of his own guys. Obviously, if we look at the Jets' his whole stint in New York, he definitely liked having his guys. Got Devontae in there, Randall Cobb for a year. But, making a move for Christian Watson wouldn't be too bad of an idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We do have a lot of draft capital, and Christian Watson is still young. He is coming off a pretty big injury, but, for the trade rumors regarding Christian Watson, Pittsburgh has remained in the spotlight. We've been looking for a wide receiver number 2 since last year. We got DK Metcalf and George Pickens, obviously. George Pickens, we trade him away for a few picks, and now we're back in the same spot we were last year looking for that number 2 wide receiver. But Watson may well be the most gifted player in the Packers wide receiver rooms. They definitely have a lot of different players, but they all are kind of one-trick ponies in their own right. None of them are really emerging as that number 1 wide receiver. So obviously they did take Matthew Golden this year in the NFL draft. A little late, obviously. They do have Jordan Love, but if they added a better wide receiver maybe 7 years ago and Aaron was in Green Bay, they probably would have had a better chance to get to the Super Bowl. But anyways, the 26-year-old veteran, yes, he has missed multiple games due to injury in the last 3 seasons in his career. But this dude definitely still has a lot of upside. He is a big physical guy. He's another big target that the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to add after not, getting Kyle Pitts or Jonnu Smith from the Dolphins. Obviously, we were interested in both those guys. 2 big offensive players, but weren't able to get him in a trade. So, with both Matthew Golden and Savion Williams in line for significant roles in Green Bay, the Packers may be looking to sell Watson as he does recover for an ACL tear, and Rodgers may get his wish, and, he may definitely get one of his old wide receivers into the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver room. And I think Watson is a guy the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to trade for when he is healthy. Obviously, like I said, he is still rehabbing from that ACL injury. But there definitely have been talks between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers regarding wide receivers. Earlier on this offseason, I was talking about a guy in Romeo Doubs who the Pittsburgh Steelers were inquiring about. So they've definitely had some talks with the Green Bay Packers in attempt to maybe get Aaron, one of his former guys, one of his young pass catchers that he had while he was in Green Bay. Obviously, he's in Pittsburgh now. We do have DK at our number 1 and Calvin Austin at that number 2. But there is some question marks around that number 2 wide receiver. Obviously, Calvin Austin is a very talented guy, but he's a smaller guy. He's a smaller receiver. And some people are really questioning whether or not he can produce and, be that real, true number 2 wide receiver that could complement DK Metcalf. I think either way, though, now that we do have Aaron Rodgers, we do have a better chance. Then, we did going into the season. Obviously, we just had Mason Rudolph. We'll hire under contract before Aaron Rodgers came in. Excuse me. So I think we just have a better chance now that Aaron is in the building. But if we do look to trade for a wide receiver, I think it would be great for us to get another one of Aaron's former guys, who can help him finish his last year in the NFL as comfortable as he needs to be, give him another safety blanket just in case, DK is getting that double coverage and Freiermuth can't get open across the middle. We always do have possibly a guy in Christian Watson if we can trade for him. Right now, his value is pretty middle of the way, I would say. He is coming off an injury, but the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to maybe send a few late draft picks over to the Packers for him or Romeo Doubs. I'm thinking maybe a fourth, fifth, or sixth round pick if they're lucky. If you look at some of the other trades this offseason, some of the comparisons we can make. Deebo Samuel, the 49ers dealt him away for a sixth round pick. Obviously, we are seeing him in Commanders minicamp looking a little big, looking a little round. So maybe that was why the 49ers were so eager to get him out of town. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to get a guy like Christian Watson, I don't think they're really going to have to give up too much. Like I said, maybe fifth to a sixth round pick. Maybe if the Packers really, really think that they have something in Christian Watson, maybe send him over a fourth round pick. But I think either way, if we could add a guy like Christian Watson, it's gonna help us either way. It's gonna help us in our offense. To add another offensive playmaker to our offense to just complement some of the guys we got. We really only have one big receiver in DK Metcalf. If we look at some of the other guys in the wide receiver room, Roman Wilson, a guy who has to still answer a lot of questions. Calvin Austin, another guy that still, got a lot of questions surrounding him. Both those guys are smaller guys in stature. They're more the 5'10", buck 85 kind of build. And, they're great in the slot, but it is kind of tough to see him on the outside, actually being wide receiver number 2 and demanding like maybe 50, 60 catches, 5 to 10 targets a game. They would really have to step up and really show me something to have some confidence in those guys at that wide receiver number 2 position. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to make this move, but we have to wait and see. Fortunately, that's all I have for you guys tonight on Steelers Digest. If you guys not already currently subscribed, click that subscribe button down below. Thank you so much. Here we go, Steelers.